Hello and welcome to the Christian Life Coach podcast. I am Shanna, your Christian life coach. Today, we are continuing on in our weight loss series. Last week, episode 6 was all about why quick fixes don't work and how true transformation comes from the inside out. Today, we're going to get practical about some things, and we're going to talk about 6 things that you need to let go of if you want to lose weight for the last time. And it's so interesting because most of the times when people think about starting a weight loss program or whatever you want to call it, they're like, I need to add things. I need to have a new diet. I need to do more exercise. I need to add more rules to my life. And what if the biggest part of losing weight for the last time is the things that we let go of? Let go of things that have been holding us back and keeping us stuck and weighing us down in this cycle of losing and regaining weight. And isn't it interesting that we want to lose weight, we want to let go of the weight, but we think we have to add things in? What if it's all about just letting go and releasing? How great would that be? So I'm going to talk about 6 things that you need to let go of in order to lose weight for the last time. And each one of these 6 things is like a heavy bag we've been carrying around that we don't even realize. And today we're going to talk about these bags, and we're going to learn how to let go of them for good. Let's set them down, let them go. And here's what I love about this approach. It aligns with God's word. He wants us to be transformed from the inside out. He's not saying, here are more things for you to do. Do this, do this, do this. He wants us to lay things down at his feet. He wants to carry the burden for us. He wants us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So let's dig in. Let's get started with number 1. What's the first thing that we should let go of when we want to really lose weight for the last time? And when I talk about losing weight for the last time, I am for sure talking about physical weight, but I believe I said it in episode 6, the heavier weight, the more important weight that we're going to shed is that mental weight that we're carrying. And that segues perfect into number 1, and that is shame. Let's acknowledge, recognize, bring into our awareness the shame that we're carrying around about our bodies, about those past weight loss attempts that we maybe were successful in for a time, and then the shame that comes with not being able to maintain and gaining that weight back. What if we could let go of that? What if when we think about losing weight, the first thing that we don't think about is all of the shame and regret and blame that we carry for ourselves for not being able to keep the weight off, to the shame that we have about being the size that we are. What if we don't have that? What if that was just gone? That is a burden that we're carrying around. The stories that we tell ourselves about why we haven't been successful in this area. And a lot of people are like, I'm so successful in all of these areas of my life. Like, everything else is so great. Why can't I just lose this weight? And maybe it's because of all of that weight of shame that you're carrying around. And what happens when we feel shame? Shame leads to hiding, secluding, isolating, And when we feel shame about something, the motivational triad wants us to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and exert as little energy as possible. We don't want to feel shame. So what do? We go to the kitchen, to the pantry, to the freezer for the ice cream, because that gives us a little bit of relief. There's some pleasure there. But what if we could look at the shame, acknowledge it, say thank you for wanting to protect me. I've got it from here. There is no shame. We talked about the motivational triad. Again, it's our habit brain. It's if we can take the emotion out of it and look at the reason that we overeat, seek pleasure, avoid pain, exert as little energy as possible, knowing that is brain science. That is what's happening in our brain. It's a habit. So habits can change. There's nothing I can do about the past right now except change the way I think about it. So all of that shame that I'm heaping on myself is not helping. It's only hurting me and keeping me stuck. And it's a big one. This could take some journaling, some processing to see where shame is showing up in your life and doing the work to let it go. Excuse me. And it might keep coming up. So you might have to do this work several times. It's a practice. Noticing when you're having those thoughts that lead to a feeling of shame and correcting them. So number 1, let's work on letting go of the shame. Number 2, a little less heavy, but there all the time, that diet mentality. We want to let go of diet mentality. What does diet mentality look like? It can be so many things. All of the thoughts that you're reminding yourself of from all of those past diets. Calorie restriction. I have to exercise more. Fat is bad. Any Snackwells consumers in the house? Like how many boxes of Snackwell cookies did you eat in order to not consume fat in your snacks? And let me just tell you, my microphone dropped. It was a literal microphone drop moment. Those Snackwell cookies were filled with all kinds of chemicals and sugar that were way worse than the fat. So letting go of diet mentality. Calories in, calories out. Low fat, no carbs. There are so many different ways that diet mentality comes in. I have to exercise more. And it's so interesting when I meet somebody and they find out that I'm a life coach and that I do a lot of weight loss work, it's the first thing, literally, almost always, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, oh, I need to exercise more. I haven't worked out in a long time. Well, exercise is a sliver of the equation for weight loss. A sliver of the equation. Exercise is amazing. It is so good for so many things, but it is not, I wouldn't even consider it a weight loss tool for most people. It's a very, very tiny part of the equation. So diet mentality looks like checking all the boxes, having to do all of these things, cans and can'ts, restriction. I can't have that. I can only eat this much, weighing food, thinking about points. There are just so many ways that diet mentality comes in. And this is not helpful to us when you're shifting, especially to a way of weight loss, the way that I teach it and how I coach on it. When all of those diet mentality rules are coming back, it's really hard to embrace the transformation from the inside out, because we want to check boxes. We want to eat a certain amount of calories or points or macros even. And so noticing those times when those diet mentality thoughts are coming up, they are counteracting being renewed, being transformed by the renewing of your mind. They are fighting against the release. They want to heap on. So we want to let go of shame. We want to let go of diet mentality. Here's a big one, you guys. Needed to take a drink of my coffee before I get started on this one. Negative self-talk. Now, I will tell you, I was a person that absolutely believed that the way to motivate myself was negative self-talk. You're so fat, you're so lazy, you're so disgusting. Why can't you just, like, all of that was meant to motivate me to do the things that I knew I should be doing. And did it motivate me? No. It created shame. It created guilt. It created defeat. And so what did I do? I wanted to seek pleasure to avoid this pain. So I went and ate. It surely didn't motivate me to cook healthy meals and to pay attention to my hunger signals. It did not drive me to drink more water or to go for a walk. It was defeating. Negative self-talk is defeating. It keeps us in a negative loop. It keeps us in negative habits. It leads to shame and really self-destruction. The way that we think creates the way that we feel, and the way that we feel drives our actions. So if we're thinking negative things about ourselves, we're going to feel negative things about ourselves, and we're going to do negative things to ourselves. So paying attention to that negative self-talk and noticing what are the common things that you say to yourself that are negative. And here's an example of why we don't do it. Or like toddlers, little kids that are potty training. What do you do when you want to potty train a 2-year-old or a 1.5-year-old or a 3-year-old? You're not saying, hey, stupid kid, go pee on the toilet. Don't pee in your diaper. That's so dumb. Why would you do that? No. We aren't encouraging them. We're like, this is where you go potty. You're such a big girl or such a big boy. You can do this. Oh my goodness, look, this is how mommy does it. Look at how daddy does it. Like, this is what we do. And it's all encouraging. It's sticker charts. We reward them. Okay, I'm going to admit, I gave my kids mini M&Ms. I rewarded them with mini M&Ms when they went potty on the toilet. In retrospect, was that the best idea? Probably not. I did the best I could at the time. So how can you use that example to yourself? How can you encourage yourself to do the things that you decide are going to be helpful? How can you encourage yourself to do it instead of you're beating yourself up for the years that you spent not doing it? And even those times when I overate. That is a great opportunity to beat yourself up. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew it wouldn't last. I'm so whatever. It's also an opportunity to be kind to yourself, to love yourself. Of course I overate. I was feeling sad. I was feeling whatever. I was stressed out. Of course I ate. I wanted to seek some pleasure because I was avoiding pain. I noticed that. I want to do it better next time. What can I put into place? Transforming the way that we talk to ourselves transforms our life. This is one of the heaviest burdens that we carry around, is that negative self-talk. If you can work on that and change that, watch how you just feel lighter as you go throughout your days. It's an incredible weight to put down. So, shame, diet mentality, negative self-talk. Number 4 is fear of hunger. We have this fear of getting hungry. Hunger is not the enemy. Hunger is not even an emergency. If you are listening to this podcast or you are watching this podcast, most likely you have an abundance of food available to you. There is no scarcity of food if you are listening to this podcast or watching this video, I would guess. When we feel hungry, it's not an emergency. Hunger is not something to be not something to fear. And we have physical hunger when our body is saying, I'm hungry. I could use a little something. I'm low on energy. Send something down. There's a difference between that and emotional hunger, mental hunger. I want something. And that's when, like, I could have an apple, but that doesn't really sound good. That's probably mental hunger, emotional hunger. And one of the things that I like to work on is helping bring into alignment our mental hunger into alignment with our physical hunger. I want to eat when my body is hungry. And also, there's a little caveat in there, however you say that word, because I also teach intermittent fasting and I practice intermittent fasting. So there are times when I am physically hungry, but I do not eat because I am not in my window of eating. I am in my fasting window, and that is a whole nother episode that I'm sure we'll dive into eventually. So letting go of that fear of hunger, getting comfortable, like, it's okay to be hungry. Am I saying you want to starve yourself? Absolutely not. I'm not saying deprive yourself. I'm not saying starve yourself, but just notice, like, I'm eating this because I'm afraid I'm going to get hungry later. That's overeating. That's mental hunger. That's not physical hunger. And just paying attention. Where am I thinking about getting hungry and having fear about it? We want to learn to trust our bodies. And before I started intermittent fasting, I used a hunger scale. And it was like a 0 was like, I'm not even thinking about food. I'm not hungry. I'm not full. Like, food is just kind of a non-issue. Negative one is starting to feel a little bit hungry, starting to think about food, like things are starting to sound good. And a negative 10 is like, I want to gnaw my arm off. I'm nauseous. And like, really, nothing sounds good, but I know that I'm hungry. And I wanted to eat at about a negative 2. Like, my stomach was growling. I like feel that kind of a little bit of emptiness in my stomach. I didn't want to get too hungry, because if you get too hungry, then you're likely to overeat because you like just eat so much so fast. And then on the other side of that, I wanted to eat from a negative 2. So felt a little bit of hunger. Stomach feels empty-ish. And then I would want to eat until about a positive 2. A positive 10 is like, I feel so disgusting. I kind of want to throw up, but I'm not going to throw up because I don't want to have disordered eating. So I wanted to stay within that like negative 2 to positive 2 range. Knowing that if I get hungry, I can eat. Like, I can go get something to eat. So hunger is not something to be feared. I can, like, it can be taken care of. It's fine. Even if it's not something delicious that I'm craving, I know that there's food available. I know that I can eat. I don't need to be afraid of being hungry. So we want to get rid of shame, diet mentality, negative self-talk, fear of hunger. And this is, here's the big one, emotional eating. We're overweight because we overeat. And we don't overeat because we're over hungry. We overeat because we're emotional creatures that want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and exert as little energy as possible. And we have an over desire for food, which is perpetuated by the foods that we eat, the processed foods, the chemically engineered foods. So, like I've said, anytime we eat and it's not because we are physically hungry, we are emotionally eating. Might be because we just want. Want is an emotion. Desire is an emotion. I want Oreos. Why do I want Oreos? Why do I want to eat right now? So paying attention to when you want to eat, but you are not physically hungry. What is the emotion that I'm trying not to feel because it's painful? And how can I just allow myself to feel that emotion? Again, that's a whole nother series of episodes on feeling and processing our emotions. And that is a lot of the work that I do in my private coaching. So, what emotion am I feeling that I don't want to feel right now? And how can I just allow myself to feel it without going to the fridge, without putting anything in my mouth? What else can I do right now? Go for a walk, journal, drink some water, phone a friend. If you're coaching with me, get on the Marco Polo. Tell me all about it, what's going on. And we do a lot of work with emotions. And again, like I said, the way that we think creates how we feel. Those are our emotions. Our emotions drive our actions. So what emotions do we want to be taking action from? So how do we want to be thinking to feel that thing? So emotional eating is really, it's a big part of the weight loss process, is recognizing when you're eating emotionally, when you have a tendency to eat emotionally. What are the emotions that most most likely are going to drive you to the kitchen? And how can we notice those and feel those and process those in a way that is healthy instead of seeking the pleasure to cover over those emotions? And that journaling is a really good way to do this. I eat when I feel blank. And what are all the things that make you feel that way? And what are things that would be helpful instead of eating, that would actually be helpful? Because eating is helpful in the moment because it gives you that pleasure hit. It turns your focus away from that negative emotion. Eating feels good. The sensations in your mouth, in your tummy. But that also leads to weight loss. If you haven't worked on your negative self-talk, it's going to lead to negative self-talk, which is going to lead to negative emotion. So you're avoiding negative emotion just to create more negative emotion. So we want to let go of shame, of diet mentality, negative self-talk, fear of hunger, emotional eating, and number 6, and I'm sure there's more, but these are the 6 that I came up with for today. Comparison. And this is a big one that I am noticing right now with the people that I'm working with that have committed to and decided to losing weight for the last time by being transformed by the renewing of their mind, by making the change from the inside out. It's not a quick fix. Where have I heard that before? It's not a quick fix. It's transformation. Transformation takes time. What are we seeing? What are all of our friends doing? What are we seeing on the social media? People taking the Ozempic and Ozempic type drugs and dropping weight, doing the HCG, doing whatever, and they're losing the weight fast, and we start comparing ourselves. We've done those things. We've done the quick fixes. They're not solutions. So maybe it's time to curate your social media. It's called a feed for a reason. You're consuming social media. You're consuming the posts that you read. Maybe it's time to unfollow those accounts that lead you to comparison. Comparison is, the quote is, comparison is the thief of joy. When we're comparing ourselves against somebody else, we are either setting ourselves above that person or setting that person above ourselves in an unhealthy way. And it leads to negative self-talk and shame and blame and all of the things. And also it puts somebody up on a pedestal that they don't want to be on. And maybe they don't deserve to be on. We only see the front page. We do not see the backstory. We see front stage. We don't see the mess backstage. You see the curated posts. You don't see all the editing. So comparison is not fair to you. It's not fair to the other person. And it just gets us into a place of negativity. I like to, and let me tell you, I have struggled a lot over my life with jealousy. So this whole comparison thing. Excuse me again. And what I have decided to do when I see somebody that I'm like, oh my word, that's amazing. I love what they're doing or what they have or how they look or whatever, I ask myself, am I willing to do the things that they had to do to accomplish that? And most of the time, the answer is no. I'm not willing to, whatever it is, all of those steps that they had to take that we don't see, I'm not willing to do that. All of these kids that want to be professional athletes, they see the fame and the glory and the jerseys and all the money and whatever, but they're not thinking about the hours, countless hours that these people spend practicing their sport, practicing their craft, missing out on parties and fun and relaxation because they're working so hard. Am I willing to put in the work? No. So let me just be happy for that person and accept that that's not going to be me, and that's okay. So there's my little lesson on comparison. So the 6 things that we want to let go of again are shame, diet mentality, negative self-talk, fear of hunger, emotional eating, comparison. Can you let go of all of these things at once? Wouldn't that be great? That would be fantastic. If you can do it, yay you. How do you start? Start by paying attention. Where are these things showing up? Where are you noticing them? And hopefully after listening to this episode, it'll kind of be on your mind as you go throughout your days, and you will recognize, oh, whoa, that was a terrible thing I just said to myself in my brain. I would never say that to anybody else. And just start noticing where these things are showing up in your life. And that awareness is the first step. Like that, just the awareness I find is so helpful. Like, oh, where did that come from? Wow, I notice that I say that a lot to myself in my own head. I notice that I am comparing myself to a lot of people and I am falling short. And that is leading to negative self-talk, and I want to let go of all of it. So really just throughout the week, paying attention, do some journaling on it. What are those negative things that I say to myself on the regular? Where am I feeling shame about past diets and about my body? How can I let that go? What does the Bible say about it? And comparison, like you kind of notice when you're scrolling through social media, or when you see somebody or are talking to somebody about whatever, and you start that comparison, you kind of get that like gut clench, like, ugh, I don't measure up. And who are we comparing ourselves with? Who is the actual standard? It's Jesus. And hey, guess what? We can never measure up. He's perfect. And we can't be perfect. But we can work on it. And we can do it from a place of love. So, I encourage you, pay attention to the way that you think about weight loss. What comes up when you think about wanting to lose weight, and the awareness that will come from that. I imagine you'll see at least 1, 2, 3, all 6 of these things. And which one do you want to really focus on first, and start tackling one at a time? And if you want help with this, reach out. Go to my website, shannapeiser.com, or click in the show notes, and you can schedule a call, and we can talk about how coaching can help you to lose weight for the last time from the inside out, being transformed by the renewing of your mind. I hope you come back for next episode. We're going to continue on in the weight loss series. Have a great week.